with Mr. Eddie Robison. So we were talking about how one of your bands, Alleycat Scratch, in the sea of the swinging things, Blackboard Jungles, are all bands that moved out on the is to me the most popular. I just hear its name everywhere I go. It's strange how under somewhere you guys have the biggest numbers, the biggest everything.
Yeah, it's that's sort of a mystery to me, Brett, because the band that I wrote the book about, which was my first band, Resurrection Mary, we were really good, and we had a really legit shot at the big time. And when that all kind of came crashing down, it was all about the business at the end, which kind of burned me out. And the guys from Alleycat asked me to join the band as a singer, and I did that for fun. I did that so I could just go play shows in front of like packed Roxy crowds, and it was never going to be like a big thing. We were on the tail end of glam, and the grunge was coming and everything. So I always just kind of laugh about how out of all my bands, that's the big one.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like even numbers wise, people have called me. Do you see the numbers they get? It's like triple what any of us other ones have. I think it symbolizes this is what was going on in LA. You guys just like after Guns N' Roses, you guys really symbolize a lot. And when a kid wants to go, I like glam rock. What was it like to be on the Sunset Strip? They reach that band. That's a lot of eyes for them.
It's kind of funny about how that is, and oddly enough, back in those days, like my favorite band, the band I used to put on and listen to, like legit, like I would put it on, like I would listen to Appetite for Destruction, was Blackboard Jungle.
Thank you.
I was like so blown away by you guys' songwriting, and like I remember at an Alleycat party one night, I was like drunk and I had these fans around me, these girls, and I was like, who's the best singer in Hollywood? And they both looked at me and said, Kenny Price.
That's amazing.
I'm good with that.
What year was because I feel like you were out with Resurrection Mary, like all those bands, like Bad Blood had Kiss, Resurrection Mary had LA Guns back, and then we all had like a someone getting behind us. What year was Resurrection Mary? Because I feel like it was in the early 90s, right?
Yeah, it was late 90s. It was before Alleycat.
So that wouldn't be late 90s, that'd be early 90s.
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm too old now. I don't even know what year it is now. Much
I
less.
feel like that's 91. That's 91, 92. Because I remember hearing about you guys with Tracy Guns behind you when we had Brent behind us.
Yeah, I guess that sounds about right.
Yeah.
When I joined Alleycat and went to the Sunset Strip, I had never played the Sunset Strip except for maybe the teaser, and I think we did, maybe Resurrection Mary did a No Bozo Jam at the Whiskey, but we played like Exposure 54. We played the Cat House a lot. Off strip clubs on off weekend nights, and our thing was never about Sunset Strip.
You were part of the Cat House Mafia. We were never able to crack that. You were in with that. I remember Resurrection Mary was part of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, at the Cat House, Ricky Rackman and his group of friends, they had this thing called the Cat House Alumni, and they all had like the biker style vest cut on the back and everything. So I was one of those guys.
You got a vest?
I had a vest, yeah.
Where's your vest? Do you still have it?
I do, actually. It's in a thing of clothes downstairs in a box.
God, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Full disclosure, they had sort of like, just like a biker gang, they had like their prospects and like they're legit guys. So I had a denim vest, which was like the step down from being like legit full-time alumni guy, but that vest got me a lot of girls and got me a lot of respect. If I
remember the head guy had the nose punched in, that Popeye nose, a guy that was like running
Mike.
stuff. Yes.
Mike was still is a great guy. He was tough as nails. All those guys were. There was sort of like the big guys in the group that ran security, Jimbo and Kenny and Mike and those guys. And then there was guys like Tipton and Daryl who were like the prettier guys who I'd like to think I was one of the prettier guys too.
Yes.
Had the weight of $120 back then.
You still look great.
Thank you, brother.
So we're talking about your book, The Backer. I want to get to how you, there we go. Manifested that.
Legit.
One thing I was thinking, I was thinking about today, because it is about a backer, and the backer, fictitious yet truthful, which I love. It gives you more license to. It's funny how I got Jim Carrey's book, Memoirs of Misinformation. It's obviously more real than if he wrote a real book, because he can, with fiction, you can kind of say how it really went. So you were really digging in this. I feel like it's really more real than being real.
Yeah, I mean, so the book is like, I'd say 70% real, and then it's kind of tied in 30% fiction. And the reason being was that some really crazy shit happened to us back in those days, and involving our real life financial backer. And I always wanted to like write this stuff down and tell these stories, but I figured, like, who the hell would ever want to read a book about me 30 years ago in my local LA band, you know? So I just kind of took all those stories and put them together, and then tied it up as a work of fiction. So what's crazy is most of the craziest stuff in the book is real. I changed all the names for everyone. I'm still in touch with most of the guys in Resurrection Mary, or in the book we call it Sinner Sanctuary. I didn't want to use anyone's real name. The cat house in there is called the Flop House.
Yeah, LA Stains. It's not hard to figure out that probably was LA Guns. You know,
Tracy Stains was Tracy Guns, and so
yeah.
Anyone who knows anything about those days will know who these people are. But last thing I wanted to do was write a book, sell 50 copies, and then get sued by somebody.
Yeah.
And it's, it's selling some copies. I got some really great reviews out there. I hope some of your viewers will check it out and buy it. It's a really fun read.
The link. You know what? It reminded me, remember when you were a kid and you watched Crossroads? Did you see Crossroads with Ralph Macchio and that whole, the deal with the devil to rock? I was thinking today, the deal with the backer was a deal with the devil. You know what I mean? It really is a deal with the devil. It seems so great, and then it goes bad. Did Alleycat Scratch also have a backer? I thought you guys had a backer too.
Alleycat was managed by a great girl named Shelley Lee.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
Her real name is Zon Lee. She formed Zon Lee Entertainment, and she was our manager. She put all her money into us too. So
it was a backer, different type, but yeah.
Yeah, she didn't have the kind of money the Resurrection Mary backer had. The Resurrection Mary backer lived at the L'Hermitage Hotel in Beverly Hills, had a bodyguard, shopped at all the stores on Rodeo and, Chrome Hearts and Maxfields and all those things. She took us on full-blown shopping sprees at Guitar Center. We bought instruments and clothes. She paid for studio time. We had the best studios and the best shit that you could have. Drum techs, guitar techs, everything.
It's just, and at this point with someone like this, I saw it around us a lot. We didn't have that, but you just know it's not. Did you kind of know it's not real and too good to be true? I mean, you guys really, everything's going, all of a sudden this woman, it's Leanne in the book, right? Walks into your lives, and it's just, the world changes.
Yeah, we met her at a show, and she took us out afterwards, partying back to her hotel and everything. And she told us she was looking to help us. She'd seen us several times before, and she wanted to help us make it. But just like in anything, there's always a catch. And, if we were with her on her dime, it was just us. We couldn't bring anyone along. We couldn't have our girlfriends around.
You nailed it right there. Yeah, it is a deal. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely strings attached. And she was a partier, and a lot of blow and a lot of alcohol and stuff. And she could get super vindictive and super out of hand. And really, in the end, we had, David Rudick, who handled Kiss and Motley Crue at the time. He was our lawyer. We had Tracy producing us. We recorded at all the
Tracy Guns. Yeah.
And we were shopping deals left and right. But no one wanted to work with us because we had her attached to us. And
at the same point, everybody was there because she was attached to you. That had a little bit to do with it. It's a
absolutely,
weird.
100%. Tracy I became friends with Tracy just because I was doing some artwork for him at the time. I painted a killer leather jacket for him, and God, I remember delivering it to him, going over to his house in North Hollywood, and he's like, "Come in, I'm going to play you the track from our new record, Hollywood Vampires," and he played me Over the Edge, like just blasting in his living room, and it was just like, I get chills still thinking about it, because it was like, LA Guns was my favorite band at the time, and so long story
What'd
short,
you paint on the jacket for him, by the way? What'd you paint on?
it was like a cityscape with these like velvet curtains on either side, and it said Hollywood Vampires on it. Okay. It was on the back. It was sort of reminiscent of their backdrop when they played live back then. So we were friends, and he liked the band, and I think he would have helped us, but it was the fact that we had the money to go into these studios. I'm pretty sure he got paid. Things are foggy, details are foggy, but I know she kicked him down some dough, and kicked his friends some dough who he brought in to tech for us and to record us and stuff. So everyone, it got spread around. So like you said, definitely she had something to do with all those things coming together and being there, and it's just a shame that by the same token, her being there also kind of scared everyone away.
Yeah, I mean, we had a similar. I love Kim Fowley, but he brought everybody in and scared everybody up. It's just like you just
and the guy's a fucking legend, but
it's just too much. People go, and they don't leave and it's weird. And I'm sure that they don't leave like we're out because of this. You start thinking you're real close, and then you're like, wait, it's going away. It's going away.
It's like standing on the side of the freeway. You look in one way and it's all coming at you really fast, and then you look the other way and there it goes.
That's well put. Now it's so interesting. Were there diamonds? And I mean, was this do you know? I mean, the money that people spend and throw away, it's like anything like drug dealers, strippers. They don't feel the money's real, so a lot of times it just goes. They have to do this. It's like some weird thing that has to occur. They have to throw the money.
Yeah, I mean, and to back up, the diamonds is a big part of the book, and it's sort of how the guy who is me in the book gets in trouble. In fact, starts off the book by being arrested for selling diamonds, and the book is kind of explaining why he has these diamonds and telling his story. She did get money sent to her via diamonds. That was a super easy way to avoid the tax man. And
wow, so this is real. This is like, oh wow.
This is what I mean. I mean, most of it's real. Now, I never found a satchel of diamonds tucked away in the fur lining of my custom shop Gibson Les Paul case, but
it could have happened.
But stranger things have happened, and there were 6, 7, of these matching, totally identical Gibson, the Les Paul case, the pink fur lining in them with the bail that goes over and everything. So had someone taken some money or diamonds and shoved them in one case, it could have very well have ended up, my guitar could have gone in that case, and I could have taken it home and ended up with it years later and found it. So that's sort of the premise for how Jimmy, who is me in the book, finds these diamonds and sells them, gets arrested, and he's got to tell his story to the cops to find his freedom again.
And along the way, you take the journey of what LA really felt like. You feel like you're there. It feels like, all those wacky things that you had to have lived to really know.
I tell people, like, I've got the same crazy stories as Steven Tyler has. He just did it in a private plane at 30,000 feet, and I did it in a shitty apartment in Hollywood.
Well, it might be crazier because they didn't spend as much time on the Strip. Me and Jamie always said they didn't spend as much time, with these people. They did it, we're gone. You know what I mean? We were in it for years. You know what I mean?
Fair point. Yeah. I mean, you remember what it was like. Parties every night till 4 a.m. and 5 a.m, 6 a.m.
You can still go to the Rainbow and see some of these characters. You don't know who they are, but like that's kind of, I mean, the film bit, but back then the film business, the porn business, the rock business, it was all.
Oh yeah. I remember an Alleycat Scratch party one night. I walked into my kitchen to get another beer, and Ron Jeremy was sitting there. I'm like, hey bro, I'm an average size fan of yours.
Yeah.
And he like laughed his ass off. He was really cool.
That's funny. And it was the equivalent of where rap is now. Rock was ruling the earth. It'd be like walking to a party with like, Jay-Z and, T.I. or YG or something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
totally.
It
Totally. Except for
the girl.
yeah, except for we had no money, all of us back then. These guys seemed to walk around with wads.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I found out from somebody, Joel was actually telling me he recorded somewhere Tupac recorded at, and they said some of these guys would pull up in those cars, but then go home and crash on someone's floor. So it's just
Right.
like then, their
Yeah.
appearances. I think a lot of that's appearances as well.
Keeping up appearances, 100%. I
Yeah.
couldn't hold down a job back in those days because we had to be out every night.
Mm-hmm.
Had to keep that rep up and keep those appearances up and promote all that shit that went along with it.
Well, rock was everything. Well, there wasn't like we're into a few things. This is a kid now is into a few things. Japan, we're into, anime. I'm into music. I'm into Netflix. I mean, it's more spread out as opposed to this is why we're here. And this section of the world is,
everyone was committed back then. Like, no falling back on anything. I had my artistic skills and I've done good for myself doing visual effects for TV shows and films and stuff, but someone like Mike Pinkett that we were just talking about from Swinging Thing, just produced a movie, doing great. There were a lot of other dudes back then who had nothing left to fall back on. They were all in on the rock and roll,
Yeah. And we all moved to a place. I don't even think for rap, like people move to a place anymore. You just are where you are. Oh, I'm from the South, my rap South, I'm from New York. But like the whole America, the world, all converged on one little block. And, daytime Melrose, nighttime, a lot for me, Sunset Strip, but, down to the teaser. Where were you? When did you make your way to LA? Or were you born there? I never even figured this out. I was thinking.
Oh yeah, I guess we never got into that. I was born in Dallas, Texas, but my family moved to LA when I was just a baby. So I usually just say I'm from LA because I've lived my whole life
Oh
here.
yeah, definitely. You know what I mean?
I grew up in the Valley and moved out into the city to do the rock and roll thing when I was 21 and stayed out there for 30 years.
Were you coming out in high school at all? Or?
Yeah, well, in high school, I was into the punk scene. So I was going to shows at Olympic Auditorium and Perkins Palace and Starlight Ballroom, places like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'd run out there. That was just, shit. I weighed $120 when I was in Alleycat. When I was in high school, I probably weighed 95 pounds, and I was a little punk rocker.
Yeah. Now you've always been creative. You still are. Your job's being creative. When did you start? What's the story with? I mean, this isn't a small book. What's the story with writing the book? How does this? It is
kind of crazy, huh? It's like when I hold it and look at it still, it's like that's a legit book, man.
Yeah.
It took a long time, bro. I went through several ideas of like what I was going to write, started writing sort of like a memoirs kind of thing, just to put these stories down on paper. But I started in like 2013, 2014. And I would write for a couple weeks, in my free time, and then I would stop and I wouldn't touch it for 6 months. And then I'd write for a month and then I'd come back to it. And there was kind of like one point where I was like, I think I'm kind of onto something here. I'm going to knuckle down and keep doing this. And then, life got in the way. Long story short, it took me 8 years to finish this thing. I pretty much finished it last year and spent the last year, COVID also helped finishing it up. But trying to figure out what to do with it, editing it, I'm not the best with grammar. I had to have 2 editors help me out. One guy named Bob and then my wife, Erica, who's got a double degree from university. She helped a lot, helping me sort out the grammar and some, just sussing out some ideas. So it took me a while to finish it and then figure out how to put it out.
Right. And then it was just out. You didn't tell anybody you were doing this. I just was like, wait, you got a book, bro? You're like,
I didn't want to I didn't want too many people to know I was writing it because I didn't want the pressure of people going, hey, when are you going to release that thing, man? And I didn't even know if I could get it released. It literally happened just Googling how am I going to release my book, and Amazon gives you these tools. You know, I figured, okay, you can probably upload it and get it, you know, formatted for Kindle so people can read it on their Kindle. But no, man, they go through the whole, give you templates to create the artwork and everything. And 3 days after I uploaded it, people were ordering it, and it was showing up 2 days later. I mean, it's crazy. I say what you want about, you know, the conglomerate giant of Amazon.
Oh, I
but
love it. Yeah.
they fucking got their shit together with helping our authors get their stuff out, for sure.
I love Amazon. One time a girl told me that she was going to break up with me if I kept using Amazon. And I told her, Amazon knows me better than you, so we should break up. It knows what I like. It knows what I like.
It.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Shit, and our place is like the UPS drivers got a groove right to our front door.
I love it. Well, we remember too. All we wanted to do was have a CD in plastic in stores. It was so hard. That was our existence for years. And now I never don't appreciate that things can be. If you had a video, if it didn't get on MTV, nobody saw it. You know what I mean? Now it's so cool.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I mean, you know, after Resurrection Mary and then Alleycat Scratch, I was in Jet68
with Kenny from Blackbird. Yeah,
Kenny, you know, from your band, and we actually did a video that would probably cost $1 million.
Oh yeah.
For pretty much nothing, because I had a connection to that director, Joseph Kahn, and we made that killer video. But back then there was no really outlet for it. No. If all this internet shit had happened earlier, man, who knows what would happen with that video.
I felt like the next video he did, Steven Tyler was doing his hair the same way as Kenny. You know what I mean? It was like, you know.
You never know who saw that thing. You never know.
Because you guys had all that Vidal power, power behind the,
Totally. We showed up to that to film that thing, and there were like 2 grip trucks and a wardrobe trailer and honey wagon, and there was a limo, camera crews and everything. We were like, holy shit, this is like a legit fucking video.
I'll show that. And that's even this. It's just the weird stuff that has happened to us through our whole lives. Like, not the complete brass ring, but kind of in a weird way. And if you just hang in, you have those moments and they get you through the bad days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can live on moments like that for a long time. And we may not have had that brass ring, but fucking A, we made it further than 99.9.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing, is like your backer. So many people say they're going to do things that don't happen, but you gotta, because once in a while, like the backer, like the video, these things do happen, and you got to be ready when they do.
Yeah. And in writing it, my ultimate goal with this book is to get it to somebody. I think it would actually be a great Netflix movie.
It has that feel.
For sure. But I think it would be a kill. I could totally see it on Netflix, and everyone who's read it says the same thing. I also want to give a shout out to an old girlfriend of mine, Amy, from way back in the day. She wrote a book. I think it was called
The Sunset Strip Diaries.
Yeah.
She was the first of anybody when nobody had book. Yeah.
Totally. And I was in her book because I was a big part of her life, and she called me Jimmy in the book to, she didn't want to use real names. And so I called myself Jimmy in the backer as sort of a homage to Amy.
Oh, that's cool. Whatever happened to her in that book? Because that book, everybody it wasn't grammatically perfect. It was like a cool demo that passed around.
I don't know what. I know she sort of left social media and I know she married and
well, there we go. There you go. You just figured it out.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, she was legit the first one I knew who put any of those stories down. And I remember seeing those diaries. She literally wrote those diaries and then released them as a book later on. So props to her.
Isn't it weird? I'm not saying her, and you'll get this, like, you and I, we're lifers, we're here, but so many of these people move on and get different lives. It's almost like a Liam Neeson movie that they want that era to disappear. Like, I know girls that don't want their husbands, have no idea they were strippers. Well, they're minivan moms. It's no, just keep it down there.
You know what some of those girls were up to back in those days, and sure, they don't want anyone to know about what they were up to.
Yeah.
Probably not fair, because we were up to just as bad, but that double standard, and Yeah, I mean, a lot of those people moved on, but you know also how many of them killed themselves too. I know
Yeah, yeah.
probably
It
10
was a
people
rough thing to
themselves in
navigate.
years.
And
Yeah,
that's how we came together. I think you, me, Kenny, people like that, man, as we came together as people trailed off, it became tighter. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it did, and I still don't really consider myself as tight with a bunch of people as I could be or have been, but
But I consider us tight. We don't see, we don't, we, you know,
yeah,
when you're there, because we're still here, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. But I mean, I'm talking about like people like Jamie and Mandy
yeah, yeah,
and all those guys who got kids. They're the same Kenny. You know, they all got
yeah.
kids, and their kids know each other, and
Right, right,
they
right.
really stuck it out and remained friends. So
Yeah,
good for
yeah,
them. You know.
yeah. But like you, I remember I saw you with the girl I was dating in a parking lot a few years ago, and it had been years, and we just caught up, and she was like, "What was that about?" You know what I mean? By your,
I do remember. I
yeah,
do remember. And before I met my wife, I was doing the online dating thing, and met a nice girl named Wendy, and then it turns out she's like best friends with all you guys from Blackboard Jungle from back in the day. It's like such a
yeah.
small world.
Now Vince was in Resurrection Mary, right? Vince, who was in
Yep.
Jet68 with you, right?
Yeah, Vince and me sort of were the founders of Resurrection Mary, and we didn't see much of each other when that ended. I went to the strip with Alleycat and kind of turned my back on all things not
Yeah, yeah,
Alleycat
yeah.
Scratch. But yeah, later in life, I remembered Kenny and Jamie calling me up saying, "Hey, you got Vince's number. We want that guy to be the guitar player for our new band." And I was like, "I'll give you his number if Kenny, you'll put down your rhythm guitar and just sing and put that rhythm guitar in my hands and let me play too."
That's
And that's how
awesome.
Jet68 was formed. So Vince and me joined Kenny and Jamie and Mike and formed Jet68.
That's so cool. And are you
I
still
love
talk
that.
to Vince, right? Yeah, that was a
Yeah. Oh
great.
yeah. I still talk to all the guys and friendly with everyone still. And to be
Yeah.
honest with you, Jet68 was my favorite band I was ever in.
It's
And
great. Paul from my band pulled up to rehearsal and I sent Kenny a video. He just pulled up. I'm like, what do you, it's Jet 60. He'll pull up just cranking Jet 68. He's like,
nice.
best thing
We had
Kenny's
a good
ever done.
time.
He's like, this is the best thing Kenny ever did. I'm sorry, I like it better than Blackboard Jungle. This is
No,
he doesn't know, it's just what it's you know what I mean? Like,
I was such a fan of Blackboard, I can never get
yeah.
behind that
But it was
idea.
it's a really
But
cool record. It's a really cool record. And
yeah, and for me, I was no longer responsible for the rise or fall of my band. I was not the lead singer anymore. I got to be Izzy over on the side,
yeah.
sunglasses, low Les Paul, smoke, just trying to be as cool as I could be and not
And
be in the
yeah.
spotlight. And that was totally okay for me.
It's funny because we were talking, Paul and I, that Jet 68 in that time was one of the last moments. We didn't know we were in a moment. It seemed like, oh, back in the day, but we didn't realize Jet 68 with makeup and all those cups was in a big moment. Everything was raging. I just didn't realize. I thought it was behind us, but that was a time in itself.
That was an interesting time too, because rock was sort of pushed over to the side and still had not ever really come back like it had, back in the Alleycat and Blackboard days. But we played, Tammy's Club, Pretty Ugly
Pretty Ugly was
Club.
basically Cat House. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was all just, it was a
it
whole
was all like
scene.
had all moved kind of underground, but there was a scene. Those were good times. I and that at that period of my life, I actually had some money. I was working,
Yeah.
and so I could afford uh, drinks
Yeah, it was
and
cool. Yeah.
taking girls out to dinner and things like that back in those days that I couldn't do when I was in Alleycat. I was like, "Hey, hi, I'm Eddie. Would you buy me a drink,
Yeah,
please?"
yeah. It was a cool time. We're all turning 30 and it was kind of a perfect time and people were still on a Wednesday packing Pretty Ugly and it was
Yeah,
just rocking. And you guys were just, it was almost another grab at the brass. I mean, you guys did put a record out, another
we
brass ring
did.
right there.
We did, and we got close again. I mean, we had signed a deal with Cleopatra Records to put the Jet68 record out, but then we got roped into this management contract with this British guy, and he talked us out of releasing it with Cleopatra, and said he could do bigger things for us. And we actually, Vince and me, paid the money back to Cleopatra to get out of that deal. And Cleopatra handed us over 5,000 records. If you don't know what 5,000 records looks like,
they still
fucking storage room full of records. And the guy, you know, kind of dropped the ball. Couldn't get us any other deal, and we should have just stuck with Brian at Cleopatra and released that record. But
yeah,
basically another mistake, another close call.
But the music exists. That's one thing about with Jet68 and what's cool with Blackbird Jungle. The music exists. If you have a good CD, that doesn't go away. And that CD is a snapshot of that time in all those clubs, and it feels like that time.
All this music is all like, you can find it all on Spotify or on YouTube. It's all out there.
Yeah.
I do want to say that we never put Resurrection Mary out because, you know, that was way back in the day. So F&A Records asked us to release the music, and so we did this I don't know, a year and a half ago. That's the CD.
Oh, cool. Well, give me a link to it, and we'll send me some links to, and we'll put it in that. Is it on Spotify?
It is. But one thing reason why I bring it up is that when we recorded all that stuff, you know, back then you mixed down to a cassette tape.
Yeah.
That's what you had. And all the masters were lost. And when they said they wanted to put this out, we had 2 different recording sessions, 5 with a crap studio and 5 with Tracy Guns in the big studio. But no one had any masters. So F&A basically put out a call to all their fans. If anyone has pirated copies of the songs, send them in. So the long story short is the album sounds like shit. It's 3rd and 4th generation off a cassette tape. Okay. But the songs are there, and these were good songs too. This and Jet68 were the thing I'm most proud of. Cool.
Well, thank you. I'm going to put a link to the book, The Backer.
Thank you, brother.
Eddie, it was great to see you. And
you too, Brett.
Say goodbye to everybody, and I'll say goodbye to you after that.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you'll support the book. And it's been my pleasure to come on and talk to Brett. Thanks.
Awesome.